here, Canadian Looney. Let's just get right into this. We're doing something a bit different than we normally do, but let's check it out. See what we got.
ترامپ بداند ما برای اینکه سالها با شما بجنگیم از پیشرفته ترین امکانات امروز برخورداریم. اول جنگ هرچی ته انبار داریم میزنیم، اما در ادامه قوی ترین موشک هامون رو خواهیم زد. اون چیزی رو که تا الان رو نکردیم و به قول ما بچه ایرانی ها تو آب نمک خوابوندیم، اونها رو هم این روزا رو خواهیم.
This Iranian has any clue.
ترامپ بداند ما برای اینکه سالها با شما بجنگیم از پیشرفته ترین امکانات امروز برخورداریم. اول جنگ هرچی ته انبار داریم میزنیم، اما در ادامه قوی ترین موشک هامون رو خواهیم زد.
As a signing bonus.
Today, we are introducing new categories designed to meet and support Canada's evolving needs and reflect our government's determination to attract the best talent to Canada. And finally, we are creating a new category for skilled military recruits to attract highly skilled foreign military applicants. Eligible recruits with a job offer from the Canadian Armed Forces, including doctors, nurses, pilots, can be invited to apply for permanent residence. They will be subject to the same security and all military requirements. This new category will support our government's commitment to strengthen our armed forces, to defend our sovereignty, and to keep Canadians safe.
Serving in our military is a sacred trust, the ultimate duty, not an immigration shortcut, not a reward, but a solemn responsibility to defend Canada, our sovereignty, our values, our people. You know, when shit hits the fan. In that moment, loyalty must be absolute. No divided allegiances, no hesitation, no questions about whose side you're really on. So ask the question Ottawa won't. In a real crisis, war, invasion, conflict, who do these recruits fight for? Is it Canada? Or is it the homeland that they just left? Chinese recruits straight from the PLA, Indian recruits straight from their army. Do you honestly believe their first loyalty will be to Canada? I don't. Our own young Canadians aren't enlisting in the numbers that we need. The forces are bleeding people. Shortages in critical roles are desperate. But instead of fixing that, offering bigger incentives, rebuilding pride in service, inspiring our kids to stand up, Ottawa imports foreign soldiers and hands them citizenship on a platter. Meanwhile, our military has poured resources into diversity training, anti-racism workshops, unconscious bias sessions, gender-based analysis, cultural sensitivity programs, mandatory stuff to make the force inclusive. Do you think China's PLA does sensitivity training? India's army? No. They focus on iron discipline, ideological loyalty, and combat readiness. Here, we're softening edges while wondering why recruitment sucks. Canada already has incentives for our own, up to $50,000 recruiting allowances for key trades, $10,000 after basic, $20,000 after qualifying retention bonuses, pay raises, and retroactive to 2025. So why not double down on those? Why not make service appealing to Canadians first? This policy is reckless, it cheapens citizenship, and it risks dividing loyalties when we need unity most. Canada deserves a military that bleeds red and white, trained here, loyalty here, committed here. Not one where we gamble on whose side they'll take when the bullets start flying. This deserves real scrutiny, hard questions, and accountability. And I'm going to keep asking for Pickering, for Ontario, and for every Canadian who puts this country first. What do you think? Drop it below, share this, demand Canada first always. Because loyalty.
That is. Sorry, this is a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. How sweet. I didn't know they could do that. I hate Zoom. I never like Zoom. Sorry, you guys. I just wanted to say first and foremost, my heart obviously is broken for you guys as much as it is for our family. You guys lost not only a boss, but someone that you looked up to, someone that you believed in his mission, that you also that you loved listening to his show. You loved hearing his wisdom on things. I'm sure some of you have also had very personal moments of where you sat down and
had private conversations with him. I want you all to hold on to those. And I want you all to remember those so deeply. I want you to journal about them. I want you to be able to tell your kids about them. I want you to put those in your heart as why you're still here with the Turning Point USA family, because that's what we want. And like I said to our small group after whatever day that was that I did the thing on TV, how many days are still on Good Friday, I told the team, I said, Turning Point USA will continue like my husband always wanted, and it'll be bigger than ever. And we're going to honor him by doing that. We're going to stay humble. We're going to work hard because that's what he would want. And
is now saying the Carney government believes that India has seized its attempts at transnational repression in Canada. What did you take from that? Do you believe that?
I don't believe that. I think the official misspoke. I don't know if it was their own opinion or a mistake, but clearly things have not changed to the extent the official implied.
When we do talk about the way that the priorities have shifted, we know that the previous Liberal government felt that India was one of the biggest culprits engaging in foreign interference in Canada. Then a year later now, we have a new Prime Minister, and that belief now is that India is no longer committing those acts. What may have changed?
I don't think anything has changed. I think that the security agencies are likely still giving the same advice. The CSIS public report recently stated that India is still concerned for foreign interference and transnational crime. The duty to warn that happened last week is an indicator that the behavior is continuing, although not all duty to warns are, by definition, because of state-sponsored activity. It does appear in this case that it was. And so the activity is continuing.
Oh, well, we're on to the next.
I just want to set a couple things straight. Keep it short. I was told a couple days ago by people that I trust that were in Milan that Wayne Gretzky wasn't welcome around Team Canada around the gold medal time and leading up to it.
Come on. He's the great one.
I didn't ask any questions. I thought the whole idea of Wayne Gretzky not being welcome anytime he wants around Team Canada, Hockey Canada was so insane. I didn't even think to ask anything else. That's why I said what I said on Flames Nation yesterday morning. Since then, Hockey Canada has denied all that. I hope they're telling the truth. I think I'm not a reporter needs to go ask the new CEO president, Catherine Henderson, is Wayne Gretzky welcome at Hockey Canada? And B, what she and Hockey Canada thinks of Wayne Gretzky. And I hope her answer is something along the lines of, he's a Canadian icon, and we hold him in the highest regard.
Actually makes what is a clear majority, in your opinion?
50 plus 1.
50 plus 1.
In my opinion.
One single vote.
50 plus 1.
Yeah.
You get more, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm running a poll right now on X. By the way, this is my phone case. And I asked the question, I'll just bring it up here in a second, because I think you'll find it interesting. So this is X, and I paid X $30 to publish this to Albertans. Oh, yeah. And the question that I asked is, Canada's Clarity Act says independence requires a clear majority, but never defines what it means. If Albertans vote without agreeing on that threshold first, the result could lead to serious problems. What's a clear majority in your opinion? What do you think the percentages of people who think 50% plus 1 vote?
Oh, really low.
What do you think the number is?
Really low? Throw a number at me.
35.
35?
Because look at how it works with the first past the post system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a prime minister who's presently ruling,
yeah.
And he got like it was about 30-some% of the vote, and those are the people who voted.
Yeah.
So it's an even smaller percentage of the people who actually chose him, and he's our leader.
So,
and he's making all these incredible decisions without even going to the House of Commons.
you're absolutely right. Throw a number at me. What do you think your percentage is? 50% plus 1.
82%.
82%?
65.
Okay. Guess. Just guess.
Oh, just guess. Okay, I'm going to say 50 plus 1. 50 plus 1. Yeah.
So far I have...
Thank you.
So far I have 1,683 votes. 68% support 50% plus 1. Yeah.
Weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Natural Resources claimed that the decision to allow Brookfield Renewables to send Canadian hydroelectricity out of Powell River to the United States with almost no benefit to Canadians was out of his hands and instead rested with Canada's energy regulator. The only problem is the regulator told me that they made their recommendation to reject the permit 2 months ago, and since that time, it's been sitting on the minister's desk. So will the minister commit to accepting the regulator's recommendation
Thumbs up for Aaron Gunn.
and to denying Brookfield this permit?
Hear, hear.
The Honorable
And he loves Israel too.
It's true.
Like 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds.
I don't know about this.
6 years ago, I was up here, and I said, "This is our first Jewish president." Now he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
That's where bad things happened on the second one. Namely, the election was rigged. And we found out, and you see that happening. But
And you are the greatest president.
Thank you very much.
And God bless you. I miss you. I miss you.
How about the best president ever?
And that's the last.
What?
Is he still talking? I don't know. But folks, it's unbelievable. The guy talks almost 2 hours, but never mentions the anniversary of Putin invading Ukraine. Never once. I spent a lot of time in Ukraine, and I've met with Putin more than any other world leader has. The incredible bravery of those people. Imagine how they feel, wondering, are we leaving them? We're walking away.
Imagine how you feel.
He doesn't apologize. And by the way, to see Trump give the State of the Union, that's the last.
Come on.
Is he still talking? I don't know. But folks,
You don't know.
it's unbelievable. The guy talks for almost 2 hours, but never mentions the anniversary of Putin invading Ukraine. Never once. I spent a lot of time in Ukraine, and I've met with Putin more than any other world leader has.
Enough.
In the Middle East again, does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity in a one world government.
Right. What role in the Middle East again does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity in a one world government.
Right. What role in the Middle East?
Okay, let's get back into some Canadian shit.
I would like to draw attention to the fact that there is no government in history who has done more to support families across this country.
Is that a fact?
Whether that is introducing $10 a day, affordable, high-quality childcare for all.
Yeah, you get a lot of high quality child care for $10 an hour. Give me a break. Look at her face.
Almost 1 million families
She's a psycho.
in this country, whether that is introducing the National School Food Program. Mr. Speaker, we have been there for families and we will continue to do so. Thank you.
The honourable member for Regina Wascana.
Obviously, if those programs were working, then we wouldn't have so many children living in poverty. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, Mahatma Gandhi once said, the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable. So it's unfortunate that child poverty in Canada has risen for the 3rd year in a row. More than 800,000 children in this country are currently living in poverty, and that number has more than doubled since 2020. When will this Liberal government reverse the trend of child poverty getting worse under their watch and create an economy where Canadians can afford to live?
Good question.
The Honourable Secretary of State Rural Development. One of the biggest lies and propaganda that Canadians believe is that we have this wonderful healthcare system. You always see it when they point out to
All the
Americans,
time.
we get free healthcare. It's absolute horseshit. My mother's in hospital right now, just left the Ajax Pickering Hospital, which is right behind me, to go visit her, and calls 911 last night, gets put on hold for 5 minutes. She said, if I was having a heart attack, I'd be dead. It takes over an hour, about an hour and a half for an ambulance to show up and get her. She's been in hospital for nearly 24 hours right now. No doctor has actually seen her. A nurse has checked on her, done a few blood tests, that kind of thing, but no doctor's seen her in nearly 24 hours. She's starving. She was asking, can I get a meal? She says, well, they don't have food here. It comes from another hospital in Oshawa, which is about 25, 30 minutes away. No actual food in the Ajax Pickering Hospital, which is a major hospital. And so this notion that Canada's healthcare is better is fiction. It's complete and utter bullshit, and it's another in a long line of lies that Canadians believe and accept. One of the biggest lies and
that you can do. She's done everything that you can do in such a short amount of time, to the point where I learned this today. We all know that she closed down the Conservative Convention, right? But guess how she did this? It was of her own pure intensity and volition. She actually wasn't asked to do it. She created a PowerPoint of why she should close down the Conservative Convention. She sent it to the powers that be. And guess what? She closed it down because they saw in her what a lot of people do and what a lot more people do. So please welcome to the stage, Jasmine Lane.
Isn't she as beautiful in person? Welcome, Jasmine Lane, all the way from Winnipeg.
Oh, thank you.
You got that goalie, I think his name's Hellebuck. Yeah, we hate and love him.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess the feelings kind of mutual.
Well, he lost us the gold medal.
Yeah,
but it's
well.
fine. Like, we're over it.
At least he's tall, right, ladies?
It's fine.
There's some winning features.
It's fine. Okay, listen, I want to tell you about, how many of you saw Jasmine's speech at the convention? So I started watching Jasmine, I fell in love with her. I was like, this girl's super smart, she's super beautiful, she's dialed in. Then I found out her story after. I instantly loved her, and then I found out her story after. So for those of you who may not know this, Jasmine lost her partner again. Jonathan Harvey's going to make fun of me because I go down the dark path instantly, but she lost her partner to suicide. I know, not funny, I know. But I feel like it gave her this secret weapon where she lost all your fear.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I actually very frequently have people ask me, like, how do you deal with it? And my answer
My dad committed suicide. I don't talk about it.
is just, like, I've been to hell and back. There's nothing anybody can take from me anymore. And there's moments, and I'm sure many people can experience it when you have a tragedy or grief in your life. And there's two things that can happen. Either it's going to make you really bitter, or it's going to just completely reinvigorate your life. And at that moment in time, I was obviously battling with some pretty intense depression myself. And I had two choices, and do I stay or do I go? And Jesus take the wheel, and away we went.
On to the next. Now we've got sellout. Well, they say he's NDP, but he's just a screwed up liberal sellout. Wab Kinew, who's one of the biggest losers and sellouts to his own people, and then he falsely represents Manitobans. He's a total jackass.
Disrespected by the president is not good. So I guess maybe the most important way I would look at that whole women's team, like I love Team Canada. I wanted to see the Team Canada women's team win. It was, heartbreaking to see them lose. But we know that Team USA women's hockey is a strong, strong force. I can live with that. But then to see them be disrespected by the president is not good. So I guess maybe the most important way I would look at that whole situation is this. I'm a hockey parent through and through. And why I'm a hockey parent is not because I have, dreams of NHL greatness in the future for my kids. The reason I'm a hockey parent is because I want them to learn life lessons. I want them to learn how to play on a team. I want them to learn how to overcome adversity. And I want them to learn how to be respectful, no matter what's going on around you, win or lose. And I think
what you thought this job was going to be before you got in, and what it became. What was your expectations when you got in? Like, did anything really surprise you?
RFK, go.
I try to go into every part of my life without expectations, and just focus on really narrowly on what I'm doing day by day. And that actually makes me a lot more resilient, because if you don't have expectations, you never get disappointments, and so you can never get crushed. And but I would say that I had not spent a lot of my life hanging out with Republicans, and what I imagined that they were talking about is exactly the opposite of, now I'm in an administration that surrounded by immensely talented people, and they're immensely idealistic. And, I always imagined the Republicans would get together and they'd be thinking about how do we screw the poor and how do we, reduce the tax on the rich. And they're just narrowly focused on how do we solve these big problems and how do we make our country work.
Tariffs are not the only American policies that are threatening our economy and our society. They're also threatening the safety of our communities.
Just gonna say, to back myself up, anytime I'm showing Mark Carney, it's to show what kind of a ape stupid monkey he is, and a liar and a con man. I am no fan of the bullshit. I read his book. I knew about this guy before he came into our lives, and he is a con man and a fraud and a sociopath coward, but he gets the respect of
criminals are taking advantage of irresponsible American gun laws.
What the hell?
And their weak border enforcement to bring illegal guns into Canada. Large American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act. The impacts of other tariffs and the threat of future tariffs are already being felt around the world and here at home. So the stakes have never been higher for our economy. In Canada, there are tariffs that remain in place.
The decision to repeal
those tariffs are threatening our families.
Repeal the luxury tax on private jets and yachts, in our view, is a difficult to understand reversal of the principles that were used to justify the measure when it was introduced at the time. Again, in Budget 2021, it was argued that those who can afford to buy luxury goods can afford to pay a bit more. I'm quoting then Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, especially at a time when ordinary Canadians were making sacrifices to keep the economy afloat. In New Democrats' view, that logic still holds, yet we're now abandoning the luxury tax on private jets and yachts entirely. There was some justification argued that the luxury tax costs more to administer than it brings in, but the 2025 budget, I think, belies that claim. Eliminating the tax will cost the government $135 million over 5 years in lost revenue by our calculations. The PBO goes even further, estimating that the luxury tax on private jets and boats will raise $207 million over 5 years. What makes this decision a little bit more difficult for us is that unions in the aviation and boating sectors have proposed practical solutions to address the potential industry impacts of these measures. They offered targeted mitigation measures, not a full repeal of the luxury tax. So instead of working with workers in industry to refine the policy, we think it's not wise to scrap it altogether. So the result, Madam Chair, is that this is a policy retreat that gives up hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue at a time when the government, we think, really needs it. It abandons a fairness measure aimed at taxing the ultra-wealthy, and it ignores constructive proposals put forward by workers and their unions working with their employers.
Here, let's
you
watch
understand
a real
people are scared
loser,
to go on the
like
subways right now?
Kingpin loser.
They do not feel safe on our subways. When you're sitting there and some guy's drugged out, he has a needle in his arm, jacking it into his arm, it's ridiculous. They need to get off the subways and make the subway the safest subways. Now, you talk about help. No other government has put in $530 million to create heart hubs. Heart hubs that they're going to put a shelter over their heads. They're going to get them off drugs, give them as much help as possible, find them gainful employment. That's what we believe in. I sympathize for these addicts. I want to help them. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to have some drug injection site shooting up all over the streets, needles everywhere. I talk to these people that live in the neighborhoods. They despise them because they make their area unsafe. You know, I know the system inside and out. We're going to help these people. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to help these people, and I want to get them back on their feet and be productive in society. That's what I want to do. Yeah, I don't want them shooting up in the subway.
That's enough out of you. How about we listen to a smart young lady?
Online is finally proving everything I've been saying about Canada being an open. I'm so happy Canada lost this Olympic hockey game. And the only reason why is because the crash out online is finally proving everything I've been saying about Canada being an open air insane asylum, with 80% of them just being completely unhinged and insane, and 20% being held hostage by these insane people. Online right now, they're canceling our own hockey team for shaking hands with Americans and talking to them. They're calling for death threats. I'm not even kidding. And you have to understand why the New World Order chose Canada as their, testing grounds, because with the people you can. And if you go to Canada, let me explain what it's like. Do you remember the worst part of high school? Like 16, 15-year-olds, that's 80% of them. They stunted, right? So you see an adult, but you're talking mentally to like a 14, 15-year-old, right? Then you add that corporate bullshit, DEI, woke shit. And that's exactly what it's like. You cannot talk to people. You cannot be an individual. How dare you actually want to do better in life? No. In Canada, we celebrate being mediocre. And if you're not mediocre, then you immediately become a target. Now, if you look at my comment section, people will be like, you left Canada, you're not allowed to talk about Canada. It's like, well, you're not in the United States, stupid, and you're talking about the US on your page, you retard. It's called free will. You know, like, people outside of Canada have it, exercise it, and it's okay to be an individual with free will and the ability to, speak. So I'm so glad that this hockey game is finally showing the true colors of 80% of the unhinged Canadians. Honestly, it brings joy to my heart to just watch you guys crash out, show the world how passive-aggressive, fake virtue signaling, fake nice, and absolutely insane.
Oh, so here's one. Check this out. Oh my goodness. Back from the dead.
I just finished testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee. I did it for two reasons.
Yeah.
First, I love my country, including our Constitution. And America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents, and that we should all live under the same set of rules. This kind of democracy requires every person to play their part. And I hope that by being there today, we can bring ourselves just a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree civilly and we can search for truth and justice, and that it outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle. The second reason I was there is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not just justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication with what was truly going on, I offered the little I do know in the hopes that it would help prevent anything like this from ever happening again. I also have to say something personal. Republicans made Hillary testify yesterday.
Republicans.
And she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing. She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. So whether 10 people or 10,000 people were subpoenaed, including her, was simply not right. So
generational, it's livelihoods of people.
I'm nauseous. I feel like I've been kicked in the gut. There's no real downside to it.
Just looking forward to seeing it happen. We already got VRAIL.
It's a great idea in theory, but what they're actually proposing doesn't make any sense to me at all.
None of this makes sense except to their crazy minds. Check this out.
I just hope the Conservatives get in and axe the whole thing.
For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini here in Peterborough, Ontario, and you can see behind me, we are at the McDonald Community Centre to take in an open house being put on by Alto. Now, if you haven't heard, Alto is the proposed high-speed rail line that will connect Toronto to Quebec City, spanning 1,000 kilometers, but it comes with a hefty price tag, roughly $90 billion to see it through. Now, it's proposed that the trains will run at a speed of 300 kilometers per hour and service roughly 18 million riders annually. But there's major concerns about the land that will be expropriated, privately owned property utilized by hunters, anglers, and pristine farmland that has been held within families for generations. So we're here tonight at this open house to see what it's all about and see what some of the concerns people have with this rail line. Let's check it out. We're asking people what concerns they may have with the high-speed train and why they came out tonight.
We have a business actually on the north shore of Rice Lake, right in the dead center of the path that they're studying. So it's generational, it's livelihoods of people. It's a tourist-based business, and there's a lot like us.
I think generally people in Peterborough are good with it.
I don't think Peterborough should be on the list.
I'm pretty positive about it in general.
It impacts people that have had farmlands for years and years and years. It also impacts the major wetlands.
Do you have concerns with the high-speed rail?
Absolutely not.
No? You're excited for it?
It's a benefit to everyone.
Yeah.
There's no real downside to it.
They need it badly, but it's just it takes forever, that's all.
Yeah. Really good idea. You have a train running through a tourist-based business. It's not going to be successful, so...
No concerns, no. Just looking forward to seeing it happen.
You know, there's concerns, there's excitement, there's all sorts of things, so...
My concerns are what happens to our roadways. They're going to bisect our roads. We have dead-end roads. How are ambulances, fire, police... How are they going to get to us? What costs are we now going to bear to reroute school buses, garbage, recycling?
I think this has been too long coming, and normally I'm the kind of person who puts the environment first, but I've been waiting for so long to get a train to go to Quebec or Toronto or wherever that don't want to put environmental concerns aside, but I'd really be happy if they were able to move this forward quickly.
Just can't wait. They got to build it quick. So what happens to my well when they start hammering on concrete, that kind of stuff? Never mind the fact, like this afternoon, I had the privilege of listening to trumpeter swans in my backyard on the water. And what happens to them?
What problem are we solving? So what's the issue? What's the big solution? And is this worth it? As far as like, I'm all for infrastructure. The idea of it is fantastic, but the implementation makes no sense to me.
They're going to talk to people and they're going to create community relationships, but they're going to do it.
And then they're going to take your property.
Yeah.
And the economy doesn't really warrant it in Peterborough. In the last year, we've lost businesses. We've lost with Minute Maid, we've lost with Siemens. They're talking about GE being torn down.
Based on conversations I've had with realtors, my property value will go down about 50%.
There's some farmers and hunters and anglers that are really concerned about their land being expropriated. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't.
No, but I can't blame them. Land appropriation, that's the main thing.
When you're building a massive project like this, like some things have to happen, like some concessions have to be made. Either the government has to pay more money or Alto's paying more money for these people.
Do you have concerns about the land expropriation component of all of this?
100%. All of it. Like, it's just, to me, it's just, for lack of a better term, BS.
And like I said, there's multiple resorts on Rice Lake that are just like us, that are in the path, and our neighbors as well. There's beautiful farmland across the road from us, and that could all potentially be affected as well. And that's all the food we eat and the milk we drink, and it's huge impact.
Have you heard from people whose land may be expropriated about?
Just here I did.
Yeah.
Heard from a farmer that wasn't too happy.
Do you have property that might be caught in the crossfire?
No.
You don't know yet.
I'm told that we do.
They tend not to take whole chunks of property, but rather just go for right away.
They're going to have to divert creeks. So what's that do to the surface water? I had to get a permit from Orca to put in a dock, but they're going to basically completely restructure the Trent River system.
Flooding, costs, canals. Like, I just don't see them being able to pull this off.
You're going to have like Century Family Farms cut in half. How do you even access part of your property?
I spend the money we don't got. And why do we need it? We already got Via Rail.
Via this year reported like 30% of their trains made it on time and on schedule.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's part of the problem, because she's sharing with freight.
Yes.
Freight takes priority.
People can't afford to take a high-speed train somewhere. Now, they did say it was going to be, it's not going to be, it'll be affordable, but I'm sorry, eventually they'll jack that up too, right? So
that's a really great point, because you see with even Via Rail, the cost is just exorbitant.
Exactly.
They're going to cannibalize Via Rail. So Via Rail, their proposal, according to their business case, was to turn ownership of Via Rail over to the province. And it's going to be to us. Not to mention there's going to be, 5 or 12 electrical substations that are going to have to power this thing. I'm assuming Hydro One's not paying for that. I'm assuming that's going to be the ratepayers in rural Ontario.
Cost-wise, from what they're already involved in, this will never happen. So why are we even discussing this?
Would you travel more into those city centers if there was a high-speed way to do it?
Most likely.
If you need to move a lot of people in a short space, and you don't want cars everywhere, then you have to look to an alternative.
I think their calculations are completely wrong. I think we're being railroaded and ramrodded, or however you want to say that.
Railroaded, yeah.
It's a done deal. You can tell.
Two big elements. The
Dominic
one Canadian
Lebeau, this one's for
economy
you,
speaks to creating a truly free trade zone within the 13 provinces and territories in the government of Canada, within Canada. You've seen the reports, International Monetary Fund recently. It can be as much as 6 or 7% boost to Canada's GDP if we in fact have truly free trade within Canada. In the election campaign last spring, one of the lines where the Prime Minister got amongst the most sustained applause was when he said, we need to build one economy in Canada, not 13. And I have been with him in probably half a dozen meetings with First Ministers, with the Premiers. There is a broad consensus. Business organizations, business leaders have been pushing that for a long time. The provinces, everybody says, absolutely, we're all in, let's work on that. But like so many things, and we'll talk about the Major Projects Office, it's way too slow. It's way too slow. There's always a bureaucratic reason why. Well, no. We need to have another meeting of the working group of deputy ministers. Like, the process becomes the answer. And the process in this case is often the problem.
Obvious.
So the Prime Minister, and to be fair, the Premier of Ontario has been a champion in this. Premier Ford has been one of the national leaders with his colleagues. So is the Premier of Nova Scotia. Some are more aggressive with their colleagues in private conversations than others. But there is a consensus we need to get rid of these barriers. So We thought for the first time the government of Canada should come to that conversation with clean hands.
All right, well, on to the next.
1998.
Bill
Clinton is furiously and falsely denying a sexual relationship with a White House intern. And one day later, First Lady Hillary Clinton blames not the president, but his political foe.
Hillary is a whore.
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
In private conversations later, notes taken by a longtime friend say Hillary Clinton dismissed Lewinsky as a narcissistic Looney Tune. And while she called her husband's behavior grossly inappropriate, she said the affair was consensual and hinted it was spurred by the political pressure he faced. It was a lapse. To his credit, he tried to break it off, tried to pull away, but it was beyond his control. Her handling of the matter is complicated. For example, when she says survivors of sexual assault have a right to be believed.
It's very complicated. Oh my God.
Her critics summon the names of women who have accused her husband of just that.
Would you say that about Johnita Broderick, Kathleen Wiley, and or Paula Jones? Should we believe them as well?
Well, I would say that everybody should be believed at first until they are disbelieved based on evidence.
Oh, big round of applause for the shit queen.
Guy named Damian Cox, who writes for the Toronto Star, wrote an op-ed there. And he took issue with one of our players named Austin Matthews, who plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been playing for them for 10 years. And he's very, very upset that this guy, Austin Matthews, acted happy to win his gold medal, even though he plays for a Canadian team in the NHL. I mean, it's ridiculous. The op-ed is full of a long lecture for Austin about how he's got 2 C's on his jersey. One's for Canada, one's for captain. And that clearly he proved by going to the White House. So he didn't go to the State Union. He went to the White House and had the burgers with the president and shook his hand. That the 1 C, captain, means more to him than the other C, Canada. And had a lecture for him about how he was allowed to celebrate. It was fine for him to go to Miami, according to this writer. But at that point, after that was all done, he could have said, sorry, boys, but I've got to go back to work. He talks about how the Maple Leafs really needed him and they're in serious danger of missing the playoffs. Instead, the Arizona-born pivot chose to jump on a plane for Washington, D.C. to accept an invitation to visit Trump. He went to a luncheon, posed for pictures with Trump, then skipped the dog and pony State of the Union address. He says, apparently, he's...
Is Trump a bad word?
Blissfully unaware, many athletes and teams have declined invitations from the Trump administration. The entire women's hockey team, possibly insulted by the fact that Trump made this joke, said thanks but no thanks. He preferred to exchange his immediate return to the Leafs for the opportunity to shake Trump's hand.
Enough of that. Oh, no, sorry, we're back here.
So this is Elizabeth May right here. She's a sitting MP in our parliament, and she's part of the Green
Check this one
Party out from the West Coast. She wrote documents to get a non-citizen, non-taxpayer, no visa holder, somebody who's never lived in Canada, into the country in 2021 to be illegally killed with MAID. Now, this person did not qualify, and Elizabeth wrote records and letters to the health department to get her to skate immigration to bring her in to have her mated. This wasn't just her, it was also Adrian Dix and several other people. We have the documents, the receipts, and the FOIAs. So forgive me when Elizabeth May is talking about Mark Carney, as much as I don't like him, and she has the audacity to say that he's not holding up democracy, which he's definitely not. But then she can turn around with the skeletons in her closet and say, I'm a perfectly great person. I've never done anything wrong. Turns out
Liz May is a whore.
Elizabeth May right here. She's a sitting...
What's next? Not all those.
Built in with True North. If you thought my friend's question was odd, you're going to love this one.
Watch this.
I'm glad you self-assessed that. Okay. How many genders are there?
In terms of sex, there are 2. Thank you.
My follow-up question then, do you believe that women biological women have the right to their own spaces, their own sports, their own change rooms, their own prisons, their own homeless shelters.
I think this is Canada, and that as a general objective, yes. But we work in where we value all Canadians for who they are, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you very much.
First,
has Washington, has the White House invited you to come down?
I don't think I've ever received any formal invitation to go down to the White House, no.
What do you think of Donald Trump? And I ask that, you know, as you well know, and you've referred to it, as many Canadians are, they're more than just angry with him. They don't trust him. They think a lot of things about him, words I won't repeat here. What do you think of him?
Look, I can't stand his talk about 51st state. I don't like his tariffs. I don't like the way he's treated my country, bluntly speaking. And various times I've been upset by the words he utters and the things he does, just like everyone else. But as I age, I become more stoic in focusing on what I can control. And Mark Carney actually said something that I think is quite wise. He said, nobody can control what President Trump does. So we have to focus on what we can control. And that means strengthening ourselves here at home so that we have unbreakable leverage when we negotiate with him or his successors. You know, Prime Minister Harper had a lot of wisdom as well. He said, we cannot focus on how the United States makes us feel. We have to focus on what we have to do to adapt. And that's my focus.
All right, gang.
We're
going to wrap it up right there. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. We tried something different this evening. I think a lot of people don't have X and they don't understand. And that's fine. I barely use X at all, but I'm going to use it some for making this show. We'll scroll down. We'll figure that out, all of that intuition out together. We'll just get the stories because there are a lot of stories on there. Anyhow, Aaron, Canadian Looney, thank you all so much for watching. Come and check out our live show. We do one daily, every day. That's it. Lots of other videos, shorts. They're kind of funny. Most of our videos are not serious, but we try to show real content in context so you can make up your own mind. Anyhow, we're out for now. Aaron, Canadian Looney. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Rory. You're the best team a brother could ever hope for. And the best audience in the world. I love the chat room. These are a bit busier than I'm able to get back on the keyboard. But you know what's going on. I'm watching y'all. That's it. Aaron, Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe. We're out. Ciao for now. We're out.